Slide that intro in. Slide it in. But you see, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? It's hump day, everybody. I don't know what this card is. We got Anthony Davis on the screen here. Waiting for myself to be cut to. There it is. What is up, everybody? And welcome to a hump day edition of the DNVR Nuggets podcast. Let's go. Man, Eric has got me hyped. Holy cow. Man, I want to run through a wall for Eric.
You know what? Do it.
Okay, I can see that. We are presented as always by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. I'm serious, man. I had a crushing month of February into halfway through March. Dev has completely single-handedly pulled me out. Yep. I am now a wealthy man. All thanks to Dev and DraftKings Sportsbook. So that's a hint and a nudge to you to join us for the pregame show where he gives us all kinds of gambling advice to make us some money. He's not with us today. Instead, I've got Harrison Wind, who for the 20th straight show is wearing a hat.
What are you trying to tell me, Adam? What are you trying to tell me?
Ankles and hair. So you got to give the people what they want, Harrison. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm the only one that can bring the sex appeal on this show. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Look around, dude.
Is that all up to me? That's what my responsibility has come to.
You're either gonna do that or have to change your name to Ankelson if you're not going to show us the hair, bro.
That's a really good point.
That's a really strong Jesus, dude. We are 2 minutes.
I'll see you guys later.
I've also got Brendan Vogt. That's a nice looking hat there, man. Is that Breckenridge Brewery?
That is the official beer of DNVR. They also sell seltzers, though, guys, and you can get those at the DNVR bar.
That's I like that shade of red. Whatever that shade is. It's like red with a hint of I don't know if you notice all the colors, Eric, but there's like a hint of maroon to that one.
Eric cherry with exactly what color that is.
Would you call this clean, Eric? It's like a clean design, right?
Yeah, I'd say pretty clean. Yeah.
I would say that it looks like there's probably some food stains on it, so not that clean.
And a man of both style and grace, it's D-Line Co.
Why the fuck did you mention my hat? Harrison gets a hat intro. Brendan gets a hat intro.
That?
Yeah, this is the San Francisco Seals from 1920. It's an old
big market team. Piece of shit.
Yeah, big market D-Line is in the chat.
Coastal D-Line.
I don't care. I'm a Seals man for life. You knew this when you met me. Nothing has changed. So why would I change anything?
I love animals. The seal never did it for me.
First off, we all need to know what did it for you means.
I'm just they're kind of ugly, they're kind of like the cows of the sea.
Well, so hold on. What is it that birds do for you?
The seal, man. The seal is kind of a lazy animal. Not a lot of motor. It just kind of is what it is. Yeah,
they're like the geese of the sea. Actually, is what they are. Like really loud. They honk.
No, they're the sea. They're dogs. Seals are dogs.
All right. Well, we'd agree to disagree on this one. On today's show, guys, we are going to rank who has been the most down bad this season. I know it feels like it's not personally, NBA teams. Who is the most down bad? Spoiler alert, the Lakers are going to take the first spot. But there's a bunch of other teams, and we're going to try to talk about where do the Nuggets fit into that, because I know we sometimes get in that silo where everything feels like it's a Denver-specific thing. Hey, man, lots of people are miserable, not just you. That'll be the lesson of today's show. We're also going to be talking about Anthony Davis and maybe recontextualizing whether he's a top 75 player, where he belongs, all of this. Who are you rooting for out west?
The Lakers.
As a bunch of other topics. But we have to start today with our top story. And that is, actually, this isn't our top story. This is just the first thing on my note. So as we're starting to see, it's award season, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Coach of the Year. And some teams, I feel like this is relatively new, but also gimmicky. Like teams send out the packets, it's like they do for the Oscars, where they'll send you a DVD and they'll send you a promotion, like your own little stuffed animal, and it's like, yeah, vote for Avatar. Here's a little teddy bear. It's the best movie. They're now doing that for NBA teams, and personally, I actually feel like it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. I can't imagine it works for anybody. And we saw some of this movie post. It's usually expensive items. So I just have to know. I have to go around. I'll start with you, Eric. I feel like this is your wheelhouse. Are you pro or anti pandering to the MVP voters?
Well, I've made it my brand pretty clearly over the last week plus that I think begging for an MVP is a bad move. But we're talking about just campaigning. Is it wrong to campaign? I don't believe it's wrong to campaign. It's okay. You can hand out awards. You can there's something about like letting people know how important it is to you when it's not the most prestigious award in all of the land that I think is cool. Like I don't know, for example, all rookie bones. I think that's a great campaign that we should all jump in on.
But here's the thing. We don't work for the Denver Nuggets.
We barely work.
We barely
That's
work. Exactly.
Point.
That's also true. No, but my point is, I do think it's a little bit different when it is, coming from the team. Like it's just a weird thing.
It's weird, but it's like you say, it's like no different than a movie studio just trying to get into the hearts and minds of the people who vote. I mean, we're talking about things that are fully subjective, and so you just at a certain point you just kind of got to do what you can do to get the thought you want somebody to have into their head to see if it sticks or not. Harrison, where do you lie on this one?
I think it's super corny, but the thing is, everybody knows it's super corny. Like everybody is in on the joke. I kind of like it. It's one of those things where it's probably a waste of time because it's not going to influence 99% of voters. Maybe the 1% it might influence, but I kind of like it. You come up with something that's catchy. It blows up on social media. You get good run for like a day or so. If that happens, I think it's worth it. But overall, is it weird to say that I like it, but it's also a waste of time?
Yeah, it is weird. Yep.
Because it's not my time.
Right.
And the question is honestly more about, do you like it? So you answered the question.
I like it.
You kind of like it. All right. Well, we'll get into this even more. Vote. Where do you stand? Where's your vote?
Oh.
I mean, I just don't know what the function is. I mean, I guess I could picture Ramona Shelburne like opening a used Steph Curry mouth guard and being like, "Oh shit, 9th place isn't that bad." But other than that, like, I don't know who's like getting a gift bag and being like, "Sit." As far as I can tell, they're for tweeting out to show everyone that
it's kind of like in a presidential race, undecided voters are just like the biggest idiots of the bunch. These promotional items are appealing to the undecided voters.
Yes.
Undecided, you're so right.
Yeah. This is, of course, what this is. This is what all political ads are for. Anything like if you are a person that is susceptible to being, encouraged into a way of action based on a T-shirt, then people should give you T-shirts to encourage your actions. Like, I get it. And also, but there's just like something cool about if you receive these items, like they becoming just like part of the history of the NBA. Like if you got, like, do you remember that, like, when Chris Bosh made a whole campaign to get into the All-Star game? And he did, like, those like ridiculous videos. And it's like, it'd be cool to have like a Chris Bosh wearing a cowboy hat T-shirt.
But that was Chris Bosh, though. That's the thing.
That was
his personality coming through in this creative, unique way. That was also very corny, but like corny in a way that you kind of appreciated. But if it was the Miami Heat that did that, it would have been really lame.
Well, it depends on how it's. I mean, you're talking about. You're saying, is bad advertising bad? Yes.
I feel like
you've swayed me.
I'm trying to think what the Nuggets would even do. Like, do they just send Tim Tetrick gear to everyone? Like, what's the Jokic care package?
Hell yeah, dude.
That would be incredible. Everybody gets a little horse, just like some.
Dude, I'm saying, like, what if the Nuggets sent out a package that had like a stick horse and it with a little like cart behind it? I don't know. It'd be amazing if you could do it right. Like, you don't have to it doesn't have to suck. Like, you could make it cool.
It's so true. It is funny. Like, if the Nuggets did send out, instead of a Jokic bobblehead, it was a Jokic riding a chariot of a horse and it says MVP on it.
Like, you're telling me you wouldn't be like, you know what?
Ramona Shelburne would 1,000% have that in her like personal trophy case, which I'm sure she has, like at her house, like with the trophies. It would definitely be there, and she would feel bad if she did not vote for Jokic. She'd be like, "Man, I can't in good faith hang this in my house. This is too cool of an item. I have to have it up there. It's there." So you know what, Eric? This is a rare example of you persuading me. I started this show as out on this pandering. I am now 100% in, and you're right. The MVP vote should be 10%. How good of a job did the team do of putting a package together for you? So that should
you have Jokic 10%. Riding a horse, and you're like, he was the best player in the NBA at the first furlong, at the second furlong, and at the
oh wow. Look at you.
Holy smokes.
How are we doing the Nuggets' work here? My God.
Somebody has to.
Yeah. So that was going to be one of my questions is like, what would you put together? But I think this is it. It's definitely horse themed. It would definitely kick ass completely. The funny thing is, I do feel like Bones Highland needs the organization support. Like, to me, we've talked about this. He's right on the line. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be a homer and say he's a slam dunk because this is a great rookie class and there's a lot of good rookies. But I think he's right on the line that you could probably say it's 50-50 whether he belongs on it. And I don't know how many people really realize that just because most of his good part of the season came in the back half. So they actually could benefit from a campaign for Bones Highland specifically. And they're starting to. We streamed the tweet, hashtag all rookie Bones. I love that the Nuggets have latched onto that. But he's the guy that I think, like, hey, I'd like to see some pandering. Jokic, everybody's going to make up their mind about Jokic. That's what he's done.
That's what I was saying. Like, if you're talking about for the MVP, like, what are we doing? Like, if you're actively campaigning for the MVP, like,
that's a good point.
That means you're not the MVP. If you're trying to campaign for something that people have not been able to pay attention to because it's just lesser on the docket, like, and we're saying like, yo, pay attention to this. Like, look at this because I know that you haven't. That is powerful advertising. That is campaigning that has to happen. But again, if you are, doing a press junket, doing interviews about why you're the best player, even though you're clearly not the best player, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. The Nuggets aren't sending any promotional materials out for Jokic's MVP run. And I heard the reasoning was just because they're just falling in line with Jokic, just no self-promotion, just let my game speak for itself. And I kind of love it. That they're doing it that way. I almost wish like maybe they would send out a promotional material and all that's on like an 8x11.5 piece of paper is just like his stats. Like that's just like his picture and his stat line.
Just his VORP with a calculator. Just
they should send out calculators 1,000%.
No, they just need to send out a T-shirt that they get from Walmart that says "I paused my game to be here." And then, as you say, Harrison, just print it out on an inkjet printer from home.
Yeah,
iron it on,
just like a screenshot from NBA.com.
Like that. That's the whole thing.
And just like a tagline that says "Just watch the games."
Yeah. So, hashtag Just Watch. And also it says in parentheses, "Please don't tell Jokic we sent this out."
Yeah.
The other part of this, so all right, the pandering for like rookie of the year, I do think there's something there because they're lesser known. Like even Michael Malone, like coach of the year, and Tim Conley. I'm telling you, man, like it's funny that there's no buzz for any Nuggets awards when people are like, yeah, but Embiid doesn't have the supporting cast Jokic does. Like, wait. Without two starters, they still have a better supporting cast. So does that mean that Tim Conley is the executive of the year in a landslide that somehow he's built this like top supporting cast without two max contracts? Like, so almost like that would be the place to maybe start making a little bit of a campaign. Here's what I don't think you could talk me out of, Eric. The going on the circuit of like, okay, I'm going to do all these interviews now and like tell a bunch of stories and stuff like that part. I'm sorry. That is uncreative campaigning to me.
You're talking. Well, I just decried that for the MVP. I think that's a terrible move. But it's just the name of the game in promotion is making sure that people are aware of something. So whatever modality that takes, if it's somebody like Bones Highland, for example, who has a very compelling story, a very compelling personality, getting him out in front of people is actually probably really valuable. But again, like not if you're not for the goddamn MVP, just not for the MVP.
Yeah. Somebody said the most uninteresting topic in the history of the show. Wow, we've snake drafted candy bars before.
Quick, come up with a snake draft.
Last night we were listing television shows.
We just talked about Chad yesterday on TNT.
Oh yeah, Harrison, you should rewatch last night's episode to understand the hornet's nest you walked into. Where we were so mad at you. We were just talking about.
I got the message as soon as I came on.
We were literally just
listing out the second I joined the show.
We were just listing television shows for like a long time.
The thing that's funny about being a public figure, as we all are now, is that like people get a window into different parts of your personality. I'm telling you, like I'm very empathetic to professional athletes and what they go through. I think we go too far when we talk about like trying to insulate them and, oh, they shouldn't do media or this or that. Like, I think we go too far about it. But I also think because us on shows, like, we get people all the time that'll criticize not you, but aspects of you. So they'll be like, they'll talk about like, I really like Eric on the show, but I don't like when he shares personal stories about his life or something. And you're kind of like, oh, so as long as I'm never myself, I'm cool to these people. Like people will pick off little things about you that they don't like, and then you'll be like,
I like that you picked something that was clearly about you and grafted it onto me.
I'm just saying, like, people will say like, "Vogt, I don't like when he talks about birds," and it'll be like, "Wow, that must really hurt Vogt's feelings when people."
And it's
say
nothing
that.
personal; it's just your personality.
Yeah, Harrison's just like such a big bully on the show. He just never do that. Yeah.
Speaking of MVP voters and MVP votes, why don't we go ahead here and ask 76ers legend Dr. J who he has for his
Seems like
MVP.
a good guy to ask. Yeah, he knows ball.
Who's your MVP for this year then, before I let you go on your day? Because it's so close. Jokic had a great weekend. Giannis had an incredible week last week, and Embiid, with everything that happened with Ben Simmons, kept things on the straight and narrow, and the Sixers are, as you pointed out earlier, can make a run. What do you think?
I'm hopeful that Embiid wins it because he does talk about it, and it's something that it's one of those carrots out there that he's reaching for. But I think the most deserving guy is Jokic. He hasn't missed any games, and night in and night out, he did better than he did last year. So he was MVP last year. And when you get better, I don't think you lose status. Not if it's a fair fight. But I'm going to pull for Embiid because he's my guy. And Antetokounmpo, who knows how he's going to finish up. But both Embiid and Antetokounmpo have missed several weeks of play. Jokic has been out there every night.
Woo boy. Woo boy. So obviously Dr. J, number 1 or number 2 all-time 76er, like most beloved. Without Allen Iverson, I have to think, unless I'm wrong. Am I missing anybody? I think that's
Andre Iguodala. Charles Barkley, you heard of him?
Yeah, but I don't know if Barkley is in that level just because he, obviously went to the Suns and this or that, maybe. But I'm just saying, like,
Jahlil Okafor's probably up there.
Oh yeah, dude. What about
an all-timer, an icon? And here he is being handed the most softball, underhanded question of all time.
Right.
And he's like, my guy, man. Like, one, this is huge. If this was Alex English or Fat Lever, I would be in shambles, like just completely torn apart. Also, by the way, Fat Lever wished Jokic a happy birthday on Sunday.
Yeah.
Not his birthday.
Just random
video.
Yeah.
Did you watch the video? Incredible.
It's incredible. I love Fat Lever, man. But honest to God, man, to me, this is huge. Like, I can't believe this hasn't made more waves in Philadelphia. I thought this might actually run Dr. J out of town.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in Philly right now, you're just acting like that video doesn't exist. Just like, I never saw it. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But you're right. I mean, Rich Eisen lobs him the softest softball. He even sets it up like, it's a pretty close race. You could put together a good, resume for each one of these guys. Who's your pick? And does Dr. J just like hate Joel Embiid? Like, he also just.
I have respect for Dr. J. Honestly, I think he just answered it honestly when it's like, wow, you can never do that. But he did.
Nikola Jokic, he has missed some games this year. He has missed some games.
Suspended.
He hasn't played in every one, and he was hurt for a tiny bit. But this is like Alex English saying Nikola Jokic isn't the MVP, but way worse. This is like one of the GOATs of NBA history, a top 75 player of all time. Just totally not going with the hometown guy. It's wild.
Yeah. Well, first off, do we have to now refer to him as Dr. Jokic? Dr. J?
Ooh! I don't know. It's actually not that
but my favorite part about that, as it meandered on, was so representative of the discourse that we are being presented with on Twitter, where it was like, well, Jokic deserves it. He got it last year, and he got better, but I'll probably vote for Joel because he's my guy. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Because he's more electric or whatever. Just like the thing where you're like, well, Jokic clearly deserves it, but like for some other bullshit reason, I think it's Joel Embiid for a reason that I cannot quantify or really make an argument about. I'm going to use it as just trailing off, getting out of the conversation.
The funniest is honestly today, he just has a better story. And I honest to God feel like Vogt might have single-handedly destroyed the story argument with the greatest tweet. You'll have to go to Nuggets Twitter and also watch all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones to understand
that part. The context is important.
The context is important, but literally the perfect context for such a tweet. Pretty hilarious. Maybe my all-time favorite tweet of yours, Vogt. Congrats. That happened today.
Wow. How many tweets have you sent out? I just want to understand also.
Millions. He sent out millions.
Yeah, yeah. Is this the best of a million, or are we talking about a world with 999,999 fives, and this was like a 7?
I mean, there's been a lot of bad ones.
It's a high volume approach. Do you guys know how to turn this thing on? I've been trying to figure that out.
What is that? A T98?
Yeah. I was going to try to crunch some numbers, but I don't even know where the on button is.
I know. I'm stealing your comment here, Vogt, but there is an irony between D-Line was the funniest one, where somebody was calling you a math nerd or something the other day. And it's like, Eric, a math nerd? When was the last time you actually sat down and did math, other than addition, subtraction, multiplication? When was the last time you did math?
What is math again? I want to make sure I answered it's been some time.
20 years.
It's if you're saying not addition and not
subtraction.
Yeah,
we all have to calculate tips or do our taxes. But
so when was the last time I used the quadratic equation? Is that what you're asking me?
Ran any type of statistical analysis that involved
When was the last time I employed the Pythagorean theorem? Every time I watch Jokic play the game of basketball, basically.
Yeah. Every article I write, I just gotta get out my calculator, do some analysis, draft up some equations. Then I can actually, get a proper mind to analyze Nikola Jokic.
I dropped out of math in high school. I don't know, I haven't calculated. No one's calculated less stuff than me ever. I don't know. I just looked up what VORP actually stands for today. I had guesses, but I'd never bothered to go and confirm it. So, but I'm learning. I'm learning every day.
All right, let's hit our first break. On the other side, we're going to talk about the down bad bowl. Who has been down bad the absolute most this season? Lakers number 1. Who's number 2? Actually, we'll spend a lot of time on number 1.
Who cares about number 2?
If you have not been able to watch the Nuggets and Avalanche this season on TV, we got some good news for you. Just a couple games left, but get set up for next season too. Evoca TV. They've got Altitude Sports. They got a bunch of other national channels as well. It's available in Denver, Colorado Springs, Phoenix, Boise, Twin Falls, Idaho. It's $25 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. Your price is locked in for 2 years. Go to evoca.tv/DNVR. Evoca.tv/DNVR. That's how you get set up with these guys. A lot of you have made the switch to Evoca TV. If you have, let us know on Twitter. We'll shout you out. It's a movement. Get involved. Evoca.tv/DNVR. $25 a month. You get Altitude Sports. You get national channels as well. It's the perfect alternative to cable. So go to evoca.tv/DNVR to get set up with them. At DraftKings Sportsbook this week, we've got UFC 273. 2 titles are up for grabs on the stacked UFC 273 fight card. Join the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. I think this starts tomorrow. New customers can bet $5 on any fighter and get $100 in free bets, win or lose, guaranteed. Choose your fighter, sit back and watch the action unfold. Anything can happen in the octagon, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, you've got a sure thing. Bet $5, get $100 in free bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR. Throw down $5 on UFC 273. Get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's code DNVR Saturday at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
And we are back for segment 2. Betting on UFC is a lot of fun, man. It's one of the funnest you can do. And the Masters. Actually, it's a great gambling weekend. Masters very fun to gamble on as well.
Turns out you just like gambling.
Yeah, I think you.
I like instant reward gambling. Like you place a bet, even in basketball, you place a bet. Sometimes it takes 2 hours to find out.
Oh
Golf,
my
you can
God.
bet on. It's like 5 minutes. You find out did I win or not. Like yeah,
Dude,
I'll like it.
when I'm like really on a heater gambling, I'll like my heat check is like if I'm in between like events and I'm just like I just keep hitting it, I'll go to like Russian table tennis. I'll be like,
Oh no. Oh,
I'll be like Lemesnikov is gonna win point 16. I'll just say yes. Then I'll be like,
Jesus, Harrison,
oh,
read that
heat
number
check,
again?
heat
Is
check.
that-
I just hit it.
Jeez, that's scary. All right, so terrifying. So let's talk about the Down Bad Bowl. 2022 is winding to a close. I know we've been in our little silo about the Nuggets and this or that, but we got to talk about who's had it worse. Now, here's what's funny. A lot of years you could make a case for like multiple different teams. We get this. To me, there is the easiest number one pick in the history of the Down Bad Bowl. Like if you went through every year, this might be the most down bad of any season anybody has ever had. The 2022 Los Angeles Lakers are eliminated from the playoffs with 5 days to go, 3 games to go in the season. They're already eliminated, despite having what Rob Pelinka hailed coming into the season as the most talented the biggest collection of talented basketball players that's ever been assembled. And they take 11. Is there any objection that the Lakers have had by far the most down bad season?
None.
I know. Who are we, Johnny Cochran? How can we possibly? How can we argue
If anything, I want to add that they didn't just miss a postseason; they missed a postseason that goes down to the 10 seed.
Yeah,
they finished in 11th.
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty. That's about as bad as it can be.
The fact that
great,
the Lakers have 3 fewer losses than the Sacramento Kings is something that will be remembered for years and years to come.
Oh my God.
I mean, honestly, part of you has to contextualize LeBron's Lakers stint, and who knows? Like they were so bad this year that I would not be surprised if there were some like sweeping changes, because it wasn't just that they were bad; it's that this was the year that it splintered. LeBron versus Pelinka versus Jeannie Buss, like versus Westbrook, like versus AD even a little bit. Like it's splintered into this where I wouldn't be surprised if Jeannie Buss just was like, F this. They've burned bridges with high profile ex-Lakers before, in some really weird ways. I wouldn't be surprised if this was I'd rather us rebuild and start over than have to try to piece this together with you. Like just a complete, let's get rid of everyone, reset the table. And honestly, if I were looking at the Lakers, their most likely way out of this, you can get a lot for AD, you can get a lot for LeBron. And in 2 years' time, everyone else is going to want to go there. Like Karl Anthony Towns is going to want to go there. Devin Booker maybe wants to. Like you can easily reset the clock now if you re-up your war chest. So to me, it almost makes more sense than how do you piece together a successful supporting cast around LeBron and AD, who now are getting older and probably won't be healthy next year either. I don't know. I don't know if it's that crazy. That's how down bad they are.
If LeBron James gets traded, oh my God, that'll be this like against his will.
If they send him, especially if they send him to Orlando
Detroit,
or something.
Or like, oh my God, dude. I haven't really considered that possibility before. I'm sure he has like a no trade clause that would permit it from happening.
I don't think he does. That was the big thing about when he signed this deal. It was like, remember, he kept doing 1-year deals everywhere he went. It was 1 year, 1+1, and this was the first time he did the I'm committed and there's nothing holding me back to handicap the organization. So it would be funny if the first time he did that, they were like, F you, get out of here. We're going to build around Jalen Suggs.
As much as I would love for that to happen, that's never happening, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
really?
No, man.
They're not trading 37-year-old LeBron James.
Well, they're not going to trade him like that to Orlando for like these spare parts. But are you sure you wouldn't be surprised if the organization had worked out a deal with some, like, hey, you're going back to Cleveland, or we're going to send you to some place where he's like
not against his will.
Not against his will, but like you're
with
going
him, sure.
Yeah, with him.
Yeah, if he wants to get traded, he could definitely be traded. But they're not going to pull a fast one on him.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's what I'm saying. You're right, but maybe it's not a fast one. Thank you so much. I can't believe I got tips from my handsome wardrobe. This is the greatest super chat we've ever received.
Dude, we're not allowed to wear salmon on this show. That's been clearly established.
What? That's all I wear. It's my best color. Patrick
we're not allowed
right. He noticed something very, very important.
It's the bubble. We're not allowed to.
He's a super color noticer, just like me. No, but I could see a scenario where they came to him and like, LeBron, we're going to trade you. We're not going to screw you over, but we're going to trade you. Like, you can publicly agree to this so that it feels like your idea too. Like, I would not be surprised if that was the case.
But if you were the Cavs, would you want LeBron in exchange for like a package around Evan Mobley or a package around Darius Garland?
Nope.
That's a clear no if I'm Cleveland.
I agree with you, but would you, if you were like, say, the Warriors, be willing to part with Kuminga and Moody or Wiseman or something like that? Like, to me, it's like, yeah, Steph Curry's already old. You can pair LeBron with this team. Of course, that would be incredible. And LeBron's already planting the seeds. I'd love to play with Steph. Like, I'm just saying, I don't think it's that crazy for them to kind of work behind the scenes to be like, hey, we're not sure what we can do this offseason, but if we trade you, we can, you might land in a good spot. And he'd be like, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah. I could see it. And that you're right. That is the Lakers' best route if they just totally want to pivot, because we know they don't have any draft picks coming up. I mean, the Pelicans are getting like a top 10 pick this year from the Lakers. So that's their only hope. Get a couple young prospects, because they're not going to be able to do it through the draft.
It'd really suck for LeBron to go to the Warriors or one of those teams, though. Like, that would be just the lamest freaking thing ever, as if LeBron was somehow back on top with a super team.
Man. He could just get into like so much tech in the Bay Area, just like getting involved in all these startups and just branching out into just so many spheres of tech.
It actually would be hilarious if he went to the Clippers. That would be the funny one.
Yeah. What's AD's value right now around the league? I mean, it's got to be lower than that last trade. And then who is the team that feels like right now we are Anthony Davis away?
Well, it's an interesting, honest question here, because Anthony Davis was widely regarded as the best big just 2 seasons ago, right? He was maybe the greatest big of all time.
Top
75 player, maybe the greatest big of all time. And why? Because you could plug him on any team and he's just going to be good. He's missed the playoffs now 6 out of his 10 seasons. Isn't that crazy? Like, he's missed the playoffs more than he's made it. He did have that one fantastic bubble run where he couldn't miss a shot. But like, I wonder now, honestly, if you just had a draft, an open draft of all players, if Jokic or Anthony Davis would go first. I honestly think Jokic would go first ahead of him in most like open drafts like that.
For sure. I mean, there are a lot of teams that you could plug Anthony Davis into and you could be like, that's a pretty good fit. Like a Dallas or like an Atlanta.
Yeah.
He could still fit as a Robin next to a lot of stars for sure.
I think he's well suited to be the best Robin in the league at his best, or one of the 1 to 3. I would overuse sort of moniker here, but we're all on the same page. Like, as the guy, I don't think he's proven anything, but as a second best guy, a lot of teams would look at him and think that makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah. It does make a lot of sense until you are actually playing games and you're like, damn, why is he never in the lineup? Like, why is he always injured? Like,
it's not even just that. It's, does he complete the culture? Because part of me wonders if Anthony Davis is you give him a LeBron, a can't miss situation. Games never get close. Like, yeah, he's obviously fantastic. But like, if you give him Trae Young, that team's really good. Maybe they win it, but they're going to face adversity. And is Anthony Davis a foxhole guy that every team feels comfortable being in a losing month with? And I just think the answer is probably no, because he's never proven it. Every time that's happened, that's all, folks. He's a done.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of teams now just are punting on culture. There are a select group of teams that actually believe in it and live by it and stuff. And then you've got the other half of the league that's just like, screw culture, like doesn't mean anything, doesn't matter until it does matter.
All right, let's go to number 2 on the down. So Lakers are number 1. Nobody's even close to them. With the bullet. They're the most down bad team I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe it. It's the biggest saving grace of this entire season.
Yeah, to figure out down bad, it has to start with expectation, view of self.
Oh yeah, the Magic are not down bad.
No, the Magic are simply bad.
They're not down though. Number 2 to me is the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, man. You guys remember it was this season that they had the Knicks fans out there. Doing the bing bong, like all that. That was this year. That was this season. And they've gone from that, like the Knicks are back, everybody's buzzing, to like just like the Lakers. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They're below the Washington Wizards somehow. They're so down bad.
I have a different team at number 2, but I'm down to do the Knicks thing for sure.
Just do it real quick. Do you think they're down bad? You don't think they're that down bad?
No, I think they're very down bad. I just think there's another team that's even more down bad. But I'll wait. I want to let you guys get your Knicks kicks in.
There's another team that's downer badder.
Badder, bro.
This is again. It's not even necessarily what the team themselves is doing. It's just like, what is the perception of this team? Like, how is this team supposed to be? The Lakers are supposed to be good. The Knicks play in the mecca of basketball. They're supposed to be good. So the fact that they took a step forward and then like fell back on their face or I don't know how that works, but they that's worse because the expectation came in. And then now everybody's upset. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see.
All right, but who is your number 2 then?
I have Portland. I mean, I know it's been sort of a long time coming in a way, so it's maybe a little different, but it's finally here, right? I don't think even the most rose-colored lens optimist in Portland can look at that and think like, yeah, we'll figure this out. Or I see what the plan is. Or like, just get Dame this guy and we're good. I don't think any of that exists. I think they just feel pain right now.
But Vogt. Haven't you heard they're getting Jeremy Grant this summer? Haven't you heard like that is the piece that's going to vault the Blazers into a race for the 10 seed? That's the piece that they've been missing. It's Jeremy Grant. That's who they're getting.
Oh man, they are down bad. I don't think they're down bad worse than the Knicks. I do like this quote though that came in. The Bing Bong era was better than the era. It's so true.
That's so true.
Nuggets arrived for like 5 games. We had the Nuggets, and then it all went. Bing Bong was like 24 hours later. Everything fell apart. That was literally the last day of.
They won one playoff game in the first round. They won one playoff game, and they went ballistic, and then they got bounced by Trae Young, who disrespected not only them, the entire city and basketball itself, to the point where they've never he's a complete villain in the city of New York now.
But Eric, that was last year. This year they started the season 5-1.
Yeah, right.
They started the season, and that's when Bing Bong happened. Exactly at that moment of we're back. Last year we got into the playoffs. This year we go to the finals.
Bing Bong was in the celebration of the. I mean, that's just like a New York thing. The Bing Bong that video.
The video. Don't you remember that hype video? I can't remember which game it was. It might have been Philadelphia or Chicago win. But after going 5-1 to start, they end up losing at the same rate they've lost all year. They just lost 2 out of every 3 games for the rest of the year. It's pretty funny. Blazers are pretty down bad. When Blazers or Knicks, who's down most bad?
Probably the Knicks because, I mean, this thing happens with the Knicks every couple of years where they're like, oh, we're just waiting for LeBron to come. Now they're waiting for Donovan Mitchell to come. And it's like, imagine if you were in that position, man. It would just suck.
If you were a Knicks fan, honestly, if I was Donovan Mitchell, I just can't imagine going to the Knicks. It never works out.
No,
it never does.
How could it work out? You don't go to the Knicks. If you're the guy who goes to the Knicks, you're not going there hoping it works out. Donovan Mitchell would go to the Knicks because he's stuck in Salt Lake City right now. The only time anybody talks about them is when him and Rudy Gobert aren't passing to each other. You're going to the Knicks in hopes that, you become the face of that city.
Darling.
Not to win.
6th in MVP voting.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where you should actually be 12th, but whatever. You got bumped up to 6th. But here, you mentioned the Jazz. I have to go there, and I'll let you answer this one, D-Line. They were next on my list. And honestly, depending on how the season shakes out, the playoffs shake out, they might vault all the way to number 2. Because this, for them, all right, the Lakers, it does feel like their era is coming to a close, or at least at risk of it. The Blazers, maybe their era is coming to a close. I don't know. We'll see what their plan is. And then the Knicks, I mean, I don't think they have any pieces to shake up. Utah, it does feel like the end of an era. This is the end of the road for this one. And for me, maybe that they should be bumped up a little higher because it always sucks when an era ends, especially when you had such hopes for.
So, yes, I actually don't even have Portland as being down bad. I just have them as being they don't exist anymore. They just blew up. They're not there's not oh,
they're down bad, bro.
But who even are they at this point? They're just rudderless, and they are in the process of a rebuild, and so To me, Utah is much downer batter. Even though they're ahead of the Nuggets in the standings, they have shown that their master plan, their grand scheme is so deeply flawed that all they're doing, every season now is just a stay of execution for them. Like relying on Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell as the core of the team that's going to take you to the promised land has proven to be a false premise. And now all they're doing is they're going to live in that Portland world. Like they're just going to be the third, the fifth, whatever, like seed. They're going to make a little noise in the playoffs. They have no hope of going all the way until they finally just pull the plug and do what Portland did and just euthanize themselves and start all over. They're just, as soon as they got, like, we talked about this yesterday, as soon as they got rid of Joe Ingles, he was hurt, whatever. Like, I swear to God, that was the cultural drain plug being pulled. And it was like, now I don't even know. Now it's like, I don't know what this team is, except for like those two players who hate each other and like don't work well together. Donovan Mitchell will not pass the ball to
That stat is wild. 2 passes a game to Gobert.
Did you see that Quinn Snyder went on a 19-minute rant last night about how like that's overblown? And the second I saw that tweet, I was like, oh, so it's absolutely legit.
Right. That's like tweeting through it online. Like, no, I'm not that mad. But that's
I didn't see this for real. What did he do? What was his
20-minute speech? He gave a 20-minute speech to the media before questions about how the fourth quarter collapses and the relationships on the team are not as bad as the media has portrayed it.
Wow. I love it.
That is
Quinn
great.
Snyder's just getting his media presence ready for the Lakers job next season, where he's going to be in the spotlight a lot more often.
So lame. After that, I have the Kings as down bad, and the Kings, you could put them on the down bad list literally every single season. They might be the worst franchise in the NBA. No, here's why they're down bad. They traded away a very talented young player to win, and immediately lost like 6 in a row. Like they had the thing of they were just bad until they traded away Tyrese Halliburton, and then they became down bad.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure like Domantas Sabonis has already requested a trade.
Oh, for sure.
He's definitely been like to his agent, all right, like let's get the wheels moving on this thing already.
Trade to Indiana.
Yeah. But I saw a video tweeted out last night. It was their final home game, and they had Meta World Peace and Brad Miller like chucking little basketballs into the crowd as like a little giveaway thing. And I was like, God, this is so sad, man.
They are really down bad. The next one I had is the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
Now, the only reason they're not further here is I kind of like their chances to come out of the play-in. You've got so the play-in right now has Cleveland, who's now without 2 of their 2 front court players. You've got Brooklyn, you've got Atlanta, and you've got Charlotte. So I like Atlanta to beat Charlotte if that's who they play. But by the way, Atlanta might actually move up to the 8 seed. They're tied right now record-wise with Brooklyn. So they might move up. And if that's the case, season kind of salvaged. Like Atlanta was probably not a top 5 team in the East this year. They were probably 6, 7, 8. If they finish 7, that's about right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they're probably going to jump up into the play-in out of that group. I just got to go on a tiny bit of a tangent. I've been seeing a lot of chatter about how Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA for a Brooklyn Nets team that's in the 8th spot in the East and is 41-38. That's 5 more losses than the Nuggets and 6 more wins. I mean, what are we doing? How is Kevin Durant the best player in the NBA and can't even get the Nets to the top 6 in the freaking Eastern Conference? I'm sorry.
I don't even want to tell you guys. I listened to Dunked On yesterday, and they ranked the top 10 players in the NBA. I would advise Nuggets fans not to listen to that episode. Nate Duncan, definitely not a fan of Jokic.
Yeah, dude, that's 6 years old information.
Well, 6 years ago, maybe I could understand it. Like, hey, forgivable.
Sure,
but like now, it's just like, oh my God, like he shows up very low on that list. Nick Wright-esque, maybe worse than Nick Wright has it. I have the Nuggets after that, and right there with the 76ers in terms of teams down bad this year. Like, this season has been so frustrating and I think pretty unsatisfying because Jamal Murray, hasn't returned yet. Maybe he just won't. And that part has been a lot of it. But like, we still have Jokic MVP. caliber season. It's his best season ever. Like if you told me Jokic's best season ever would be not great, I just can't go there. Like we can't be that down bad. And then you have Bones Highland, who was like a gift from heaven. I mean, we could have had, Zeke Naji, I like a lot. I like him as a player, but like he's not the type of player that can save a season from an entertainment standpoint. Bones can. So for me, the Nuggets are down bad because it feels like a directionless year, but it's not like a payoffless year. But it's not down bad in all the ways we just mentioned, those teams that were below them.
No, we're not down bad. The Nuggets are not down bad. The Nuggets are in fucking purgatory. There's a difference. Like we are being held into a space that is not earned. It is just we've been placed into. And as soon as we get our players back, we just immediately vault back, hopefully to the to regain the narrative that we were on beforehand. We're just
neither down bad nor up good.
No, we're just on pause. We're on pause neutral.
The difference between the Nuggets and these other teams that are really down bad is in 6 months, May, June, July, August, September, October, the Nuggets could be the best team in the league. Like they have a future. The Knicks, the Jazz, the Blazers, those guys have a future that's still like 4 or 5 years away. The Nuggets' future is still very much here. That's the difference there.
Somebody right here says, take out Jokic, how many games do the Nuggets win? I mean, to be fair, it'd be take out Jokic, Murray, and Porter, and you could literally do that with any team. Take out their three best players.
They won't be good. Like, none of them are going to be good.
You take out Draymond, Steph, and Clay, what would they win? Like, not very many games. It's their best three players. Take out Giannis, Drew, and Middleton. What would they win? Not a lot. Bobby Portis isn't that good. So that comment.
Yeah, for example, if the Warriors, I don't know, lost Clay Thompson, like what would happen? Oh, I don't know. They probably missed the playoffs. Yeah.
The Lakers missed the playoffs. Same thing. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's take our final break. On the other side, a very quick one. I had a couple notes here about nostalgia. Eric, you'll be good at this one.
Guys, make sure to pick up some seltzers from Breckenridge Brewery.
Because you're old.
The official beer of DNVR. If you're in the area, if you're local, if you're in Denver, stop into the DNVR bar, corner at Colfax in York. We got Breck Brew seltzers chilling in the fridge, ready for you. If you're not in the area, that's fine. Go to the Breck Brew website, check out their beer locator. That will tell you where to get Breck Brew beer or seltzers wherever you are. So check that out. Again, if you're in the area, stop into the DNVR bar. Breck Brew seltzers are awesome. They're the perfect beverage to sip on during a Nuggets game. So make sure to pick some up today. Also going to throw in a little DraftKings pick of the week here. It's a Thursday, so we got the DraftKings pick of the week here. Going to do this on the fly. Let's look at the NBA slate tonight. Did you guys see Norman Powell's coming back for the Clippers tonight?
I know, man. Everybody's coming back.
They've got the Suns, and the Clippers are heavy favorites. -6.5.
Suns probably resting their guys tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Clippers -6.5 to cover that for DraftKings pick of the week.
All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Bold take here from Harrison Wynn.
I
think the Clippers are really good. I'll tell you what, here's why this game is interesting. The Suns aren't going to play their guys because there's a real chance that the Clippers play the Suns in the first round of the playoffs. And can I tell you something? The hardest first round matchup the Suns could have possibly had. I honestly believe that the hardest one. And I love that. Could be great.
Would you rather play the Clippers? You'd rather play the Timberwolves if you're the Suns?
Oh, no question about it. Are you kidding me? The Timberwolves can't guard anybody. There's always a nice feeling when you know the other team can't guard you. Like, at least we're going to score and get a rhythm.
Yeah. It's the same feeling that every team that's played the Nuggets over the last 15 games.
That's why they forget about playing the Nuggets, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, so we know Dane Moore, who's been on the show now a couple times, he feels good about Minnesota playing against Memphis. They're like, hey, that's a good matchup. I think the Clippers are the same thing with the Suns, where they're like, we have nothing to lose. We're getting our guys back. We can guard everybody. We're going to make things very uncomfortable for them. And who knows, maybe Reggie Jackson just gets really hot, which sometimes happens. Maybe Marcus Morris gets really hot. So that series to me is like shaping up for a perfect Denver sort of scenario where the top two seeds might actually have to go 6-7 and who knows, maybe even lose. I love that a lot. I was listening to Ethan Strauss, friend of the show, Ethan Strauss, his podcast, House of Strauss. He had Chuck Klosterman on, who's doing he just wrote the book, The 90s. So he's doing the tour where he's talking about it. And it got me thinking about nostalgia a lot and just kind of the nature of it. And also like wondering about nostalgia with regards to this Nuggets team, because here's my thesis. This season, we are all going to look back on extremely fondly in 5 years. We're going to talk about that season Jokic won his second MVP and how good he was in Bones' debut. And like, it's going to be reduced to just the good points of it. And we will almost completely lose the context of what this season meant. So first of all, just Harrison, I see you laughing. Do you agree here?
I agree to an extent, I think. I'm going to remember, yes, definitely Nikola Jokic playing the best basketball that I've ever watched anybody play, the most dominant basketball I've ever watched anybody play. But I'm also going to remember that the amount of responsibility he had to shoulder for 82 games just should not even be legal. That should not be allowed over the course of an NBA season. So yes, I will remember Jokic's incredible play, but also just the grind and how unfair it is to him.
What do you think, Vogt? What will this get reduced to?
It's a good comment from Ted. I do think sort of how the next few years play out can help define this, right? Should they get right back to where they were? Then you're 100% right. I mean, and here's the other thing: we're in the final third of this now, where these guys are running on empty, and it looks horrible. We've been holding our breath in these games. Let's say they win 48 games. They kept swimming. They never let go of that rope. If you want to know what disaster under those circumstances scroll back 20 minutes. We talked about the Lakers. I mean, that's what letting go of the rope looks like. And this group did not do that. Bones emerged. Jokic was just such a gamer. And even the other guys who are ragging on every day, the first third of the season, the first half of the season, they gave it their all. They won more games than they should have. So it sucks to watch, but I do think should the Nuggets get back on track, that you're onto something, Adam, that in hindsight, we will simply remember how dominant Jokic was.
Eric, what do you think?
I don't know. This season is going to leave a scar. I guarantee it. It was after because of the level of expectation that has been derailed this year. I remember very clearly the year after the Nuggets went to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the Lakers, and then the next year was Carmelo Anthony taking the season over with the melodrama. It was a disappointment. They didn't win as many games. George Karl got cancer. Blah blah blah.
Can you differentiate in your head 2006 from 2008?
No, but this is not a run-of-the-mill year. This is a very remarkable year in that it was a year that was stolen from us. We will obviously remember Jokic, but I think that these will be two distinctly different memories. I don't think that we'll be well, but yeah, that was that dope Jokic year. But my God, that year was torture. Do you remember that? They just couldn't because the trajectory we have been on has just been so insanely positive. So this is just such an abrupt halt that. There's no way that this scar will go away from me. No way.
Yeah, it's interesting, the context part of this. I mean, I really do think if you think back to the mellow years, 2003, 4, so we'll say 2004, that's the rookie season. We'll kind of always remember that as the rebirth, the excitement. 2005, George Karl arrives, so there's that. But then you go 2006, 7, 8 are all just kind of the same. They got Iverson. So if I said remember when they got Iverson, but you would almost not differentiate. Yeah, 2007, this year was like this, and 2008 was like this. They just all kind of become this packaged togetherness of first round exits, and the team basically was the same, even though they weren't. I think this year will be the same. We're going to have December 15th, Jokic, the second year, but the first year it became clear that will be a year. And we're going to have the bubble run year, the Western Conference Finals. And then you're going to have all these other ones that kind of bleed together to where you're just kind of oh yeah, Jokic won an MVP, and then they lost in game 82. And they just kind of almost come together in this singular memory.
To me, this year is a complete outlier. This is not this is not a season where you're like, oh, well, they were kind of lost and trying to figure it out. This is the gut punch year. Like we're gonna remember the gut punch year where we lost our 2 max players and it sucked, and then we got back on board. Like the Warriors fans are gonna remember the last year that they missed the playoff as just like a year of just like, God, do you remember that? Just like nothing but updates. When's Clay gonna come back?
Do you think this will be like a sitcom year where like there's a contract dispute, so one character isn't in one season? It's like a 12-year, like Steven 7. Oh yeah, there was no Joey on Friends or something like that. It'd be something like that.
Yeah, I think that the things you remember are the outliers, and this should by all rights be an outlier year.
Right. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The context of it definitely matters as well. It's funny, man. And even thinking, like, listening to the pod was very interesting because the nature of nostalgia is so funny. Like, I am very nostalgic for 90s music for some reason. Like, in 1998, I was 14 years old. So, like, when Nirvana was first making music, I was 6. I wasn't even listening to them. But for some reason, I identify grunge and alternative music. And then later on, like, Goo Goo Dolls and, like, the love version of that genre of music. Like, I remember
wish
those.
Dev was here.
I remember, though, to me, I'm like nostalgic for those and they represent a time, but the truth is they came out before I was actually listening to them. I listened to them later. And with movies, it's 2000s. Like from 98 to 2006 is my favorite. 2007 maybe is like my favorite era of movies. But again, it's almost the nostalgia of it is weird because in my mind, that's the same time. Does that make sense?
Interesting. What's the larger point we're building towards here?
I was just having a
seen
conversation.
Chad on TV.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should we start listing TV shows that we saw doing it?
You guys are so tough. What makes a good podcast? The ability to converse on a multiple. This is why I love a conversation.
I don't know
Nobody
where
has
we're
to-
going. Where are we going?
We send emails, we send texts. Nobody wants to talk. You have a phone call. You don't know where the conversation's going. You just start talking. It meanders, and you arrive at something really interesting, like the nature of nostalgia.
So are you wanting us to go into a deep dive on the nature of nostalgia, or are we tying this back to the Denver Nuggets? And if we are tying this back to the Denver Nuggets, what does 2000 era movies have to do with that? I'm curious. Your thoughts, Adam, please.
I'm going to be nostalgic most for this era of Nuggets basketball.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think no question about it. It's like weird that I identify 90s music, 2000s movies, but it's going to be 2020s sports like as my eras for some reason. It's weird how it works that way. But this one to me, even though I'm 38, this is like my formative years as a sports fan. To me, so I don't know. It's probably just because it's the dopest. So I'm going to like latch onto it as the coolest, but.
Yeah, well, so I think what you're talking about is what makes the biggest impression on you, what changes the way you think about something, and then ultimately, quality aside, like when it all washes away, it's like, what are you left with? The thing that like makes you think back to where good feelings started to originate. And oftentimes nostalgia is, or more often than not, nostalgia is completely divorced from the idea of quality. The two things have no connection to one another. But this era is like the introduction into the concept of Jokic ball and like the sport being played in such a different way that you didn't even think was possible before this. And you know, for us specifically, being able to sort of like pick up arms and like defend to the death.
Not going to be nostalgic over that aspect of it at all, to be honest.
But this is like like how it's building into your brain is that like it makes us feel like we were on the right side of history early, and we're just able to sort of like see the truth when others were obscured by their old ideas or whatever. And so we'll look back being like, oh man, do you remember that? Like
I do think
believed in Jokic
right. But I think that's one thing I'll remember about this year. For me, it shifted this year. There are holdouts, there are haters, but this was the year where Jokic became mainstream, universally accepted. People that are not a part of our circle tweeting about how he's the best player in the world. I think that is probably the thing I'll remember about this season way down the line is it's when everyone accepted Jokic as at least one of those dudes, if not the dude.
And then next year they win the title, and then the rest is history. Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Tomorrow we will be back for a Thursday edition of this one. It's going to be great. Nuggets are hosting the Memphis Grizzlies with another chance to lock up a playoff spot. We'll be in the pregame lounge tomorrow at 6:30. On the way out.
Go win.
No, it's all good. Let's go. Let's get out of here.